If you want higher quality leads and more sales, then you need to attract new customers, and not just any customers, but ideal customers. The first step is standing out from your competition. I created a 40-minute free video training called 10 Ways to Help You Stand Out from Your Competition. Get it at bit.ly/marketing standout. Now on to today's show. Welcome to the Higher Purpose Marketing Strategy Podcast. If you're frustrated by marketing and want to stand out from your competition, this is the show for you. Every week, we're discussing how to build a plan that attracts your best customers and aligns with your values. I'm your host, Ashley Conway, follower of Jesus, CEO of Be Weird Marketing, marketing coach, and copywriter. I promise to defeat the ick, yuck, and struggle bus feelings you may have about marketing with a few good stories and proven advice. So let's have fun and get to work. I remember shopping at JCPenney with my mom as a, preteen, teenager. We'd go a couple times a year when there were really good sales running. You know, it's kind of a nostalgic memory now, although I remember there being a lot of fighting for some reason. Anyway, that was in JCPenney's prime, right? Long before 2011. So 2011 was the year a guy named Ron Johnson came on as the new CEO of JCPenney. Now keep in mind, historically, JCPenney customers are bargain hunters. They love coupons, sales, discount. These are the people who like to stack coupons if they can. They're really trying to get, like I said, the best deals. So Ron Johnson comes in and he decides he wants to rebrand the whole company. He would rather attract, this higher end audience, and he wants to do away with coupons and shift to this everyday low pricing model. He's trying to kind of steer away from those people who want to use coupons and just shop sales, all of that. But the problem with this was JCPenney's customer base, they weren't looking for a high-end shopping experience. They really did love the deals that JCPenney offered. So he doesn't take the time to know this. He goes ahead and implements this strategy, and their sales drop 25% in 1 year. Huge. Their loyal customer base that they had, poof, gone. And this new audience that Johnson wanted to attract never really got on board. So you lose your customer base you had, you don't get new customers, you're in a really bad way. In 2020, which I know was years later, JCPenney filed for bankruptcy. Today, they're still closing stores. The brand never really recovered from the changes that he made, and we're talking about over 10 years later. They're still not doing well. So why did that happen? It was because Ron Johnson did not come in and, do what CEOs do, take stock of everything. Understand your company, your employees, where you're at now, right? Understand, do a deep dive on your customers and what they like, and try to find your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats, all of those things, right? That's what you do when you're facing something new. You take stock. He didn't do any of that. And because he didn't know his existing customer base, his audience well enough, he didn't get their feedback. He could have tested his idea on a small group of people to see how it would work. That's why it kind of turned into a disaster. And on the very, very slim chance that Ron Johnson is listening to this podcast episode, I'm sorry, but we had to have a lesson, right? Okay, but this disaster is not going to happen to you and your company, because today we're going to talk about 6 things you need to know about your ideal customer to get better leads. Let's go. Okay, number 1 is the typical that everyone probably thinks of when you think about what do I know about my customers. It's called demographics, right? It's things like age. And I'm not talking about, they're 43 and 4 months and XYZ. You may have a range. mid 20s to mid 40s kind of thing, you may just have in your mind from the customers you are thinking of: their age, their marital status, their gender. In terms of, a lot of times, it's a couple that will buy something, or in some cases, there is one gender that's the decision maker, or you're offering something that's literally just appealing to one gender. There's also location, both geographic in terms of like actual places, addresses that they would live, or in towns, or in the country, or suburbs, or what have you. There's occupation. You may have a rough idea of that, and that goes along with income level. So these are the typical things that come to mind when we're thinking of how can we classify our customer base. But 2 goes a lot deeper. It's called psychographic data. So now we're talking about our ideal customers' core values and beliefs, their interests, their hobbies. So questions you're trying to answer for your customer are things like, what do you spend the most money on? Do you spend the most on yourself, your friends, your family, or others? What causes or social issues are you the most passionate about? With questions like that, you're really starting to get at what their values are. And you can go on with things like, how do you spend your free time? What are your hobbies? Different things like that. Number 3 are pain points. So we want to know about them. What problem are they trying to solve? What's the thing that frustrates them, or something that just is constantly nigging at them? What is the problem that they are looking for a solution? What have they tried already to solve that problem? How long has it been a problem? What happens if they never find a solution? What does their life look like if they just let the thing go and live with it? What does that mean for their life? These are all things we can use to improve our marketing. Look at number 4. It's also very important. Buying behavior. This is questions like, what were your objections to buying? Or what triggers you to buy? Is it urgency? Like a business only has so many spots so many people they can help. Is it seasonality? Like when a season change, it's spring and you're thinking about things that need to be done, or vice versa in winter before you're kind of shutting down your home, you're doing holidays. Does that trigger you to want to buy this particular service or product? Do they research your particular product or service? And how do they research, and for how long? That type of thing. And that goes into, is their decision to buy, is it impulse? Like, I'm just going to do this and go with it. Or do they take their time? Do they research? Do they consider? Do they ask friends for opinions? Which competitors did they look at when they were making a decision? And how important were reviews? Were they on Google or Facebook, or reading reviews on your site? Or however, was that a part of their research, was looking for other people's opinions? All right, number 5 is communication. We need to know what social networks they use and how they use them. Are they on there for entertainment, for learning, for just connection? How do they respond if they see ads on their social networks? That type of thing. Do they read emails, blogs, watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts? So we're trying to get at, of the types of long form content, what do they consumed most and prefer most? Which do they prefer? Do they prefer those types of long form content, or do they prefer short, like social media posts? What type of messages do they prefer? Do they like facts? Do they like stories? Do they like to read reviews? Do they like something entertaining that's clever or funny? Not only what do they prefer, but what do they respond to the most? And then the last category, number 6, loyalty. What would turn them into a repeat customer? Do they share brands, companies that they love? And how do they share them? Do they post stuff on social? Do they just casually tell friends they're talking to? Do they participate in referral programs or incentives with other companies? And this can help you, because if you know which type of rewards programs and for what brands, you can look at those and see how they set those up to see something the way that your customer would also respond if you wanted to start a referral program or a reward program. So these are just 6 areas. There are more, but these are the top 6 that if you know the answers to some of these questions, if you know these things about your ideal customer, then that's what you weave into your messaging, into your marketing, into the places you market, into how much you spend in certain areas. This can shape everything about your marketing. I literally cannot overemphasize how important this is. This is the first step that when I start working with a new client, I highly recommend that we do. Because if you don't know your ideal customer well, you'll never be able to connect with them. For an analogy, imagine you're wanting to date someone. You meet someone, you really would like to go out with them, but you're just sending them generic text. You're not trying to find something in common. You're not trying to make a connection. You're just sending out generic things. Good luck. I mean, it's not going to work. If you send something to somebody you want to date that sounds like AI wrote it, they're going to know. Good luck. I went to a customer experience conference many years ago, and there was a man there speaking, an expert, and his name was Peter Drucker. And this is one of the things that he says. The aim of marketing is to know and understand your customer so well that your product or service fits him and sells itself. I mean, how much does that simplify what you're doing as you're trying to market your business? If you know and understand your customer so well that you automatically create a service that is perfect for them, and all you have to do is just tell them about it. You're just educating people on what you do, then it really does sell itself. And that's what our whole goal is. He's right. So here is your homework for this episode. Have someone, and it's best. You're going to get the best results if it's a third party that does not work for your team, and someone with interview experience. You want that person to video interview 3 to 4 of your ideal customers. These can be people who are former customers that you loved working with. It was an ideal project. You would clone them and just work with people like them if you could. That type of customer. Or just an ideal that you're like, this is really the type of person I want to work with. You can reach out and just tell them, I'm doing market research. I would really, love to work with you. I would love to just pick your brain on the ways that you make decisions about buying or purchasing from a company like mine. So you need a third party to do that, to interview these people and compile a summary for you. Look for patterns in the interviews and kind of create a profile. Let me go back to why interview experience, because I kind of just glossed over that real quick. I have done enough interviews with both doing this for clients and interviewing influencers to write and different things. You need somebody who can go with the flow of the conversation. Yes, having written questions, prepared questions, doing research on who, as much as you can, about the person you're going to talk to is key and incredibly helpful. But when you're having a real conversation with someone, it can take on a life of its own. So you need someone who can kind of read between the lines and kind of analyze tone of voice and look at their facial expressions and know, or just read in between the lines of what they're actually saying and know when it's time to poke a little bit at an answer to get them to expand, when it's okay to kind of go off on a tangent to get some information that maybe wasn't listed on your questionnaire. That's what someone with interview experience can do. That is something I offer. If you're interested, feel free to DM me or LinkedIn me. That will be in the show notes. So let's go to our office hours and our listener question. This one is from Jade. I'm getting leads, but they're not the right fit, as in they aren't willing to pay my fees. Oh, that's a common issue. How can I attract customers who actually value what I offer? All right. Yeah. Like I said, so common, such a great question. The first thing right out of the gate is to make sure your price point is on point. Higher price points can be justified from several different things. Number one would be experience, either like the years of experience you have, the number of clients or projects you've worked on, or the type. Let's say you have a very niche type of experience that not just anybody can do. That would all justify a higher price point. The next would be if your service, if like your process of doing business, your output, let's say, is premium quality. Like the service that they are about to get, the process they're about to go through as a customer, what you actually create and give them is just of such high quality and value that it justifies a higher price point. Or the third one that's kind of top of mind for me is if your audience is high income. If you have a high income audience and you go in there with a bargain basement price, they're going to be offended. You know, a high income audience doesn't want a Walmart type price. Low prices, lowest prices you can get. No, they want something that is a higher price point because they are expecting a higher quality and a better experience. That was just like an aside. What you're offering does need to be worth that higher price point. If these things are aligned, then one issue could be with messaging. You have to communicate with your potential customer with both your imagery and your words that what you're offering is premium. It is luxury. Literally say luxury, whatever your service is. And also pair that with imagery that is high end. If you have a home service, then you are using very high dollar homes that you're showcasing. If you're a salon, then you're doing very glamorous, higher income looking people that you're putting on there. You know, you match your price with your imagery. Those are just a couple of examples for you. If you work with a 7-figure business owner, I would say don't put pictures of yourself on your website in a t-shirt. So that is stereotypical, but generally match your imagery to your luxury product or service. Social proof is also very helpful with this, and by that I mean testimonials, reviews, a before and after. Those can convey the type of work that you do and kind of set the standard for your customers that are looking at those things to know, oh, this is a higher quality and a higher level service. You can also consider, this is not a black and white thing, but consider communicating your prices on your site, because you will filter out a lot of people who just want something for super cheap. You will filter out a lot of those people and save the time of doing a lot of sales calls and having people go through your sales process if you put a price on your site. Again, that doesn't work for every industry, but it's something to think about. You also want to show value during your sales process. As somebody enters your sales process, they're going to have a call with you. Every touch point that they have should be showing that this is, like I said, a high quality service, because you are preparing them before they even ask about cost. You're preparing them that this is already this high quality premium service experience. So they're going to know the cost is going to be higher. The other thing to do during that sales process is to answer the cost objection before they get a chance to ask. If you, and most of them they will object, they will push back about the cost. And I would right up front, like, my prices are elevated compared to some of my competitors, and this is why, because this is what you get. As long as you show value about, I go the extra mile in this way, my people get these extra things that my competitors don't do, you're already showing them, yeah, the prices need to be higher for all the value that you're providing. The other issue could be where you're marketing. So where are your high-income people? I did just a quick bit of research when I saw your question. So the Pew Research Center says that high income, which they define as $100K for the household income, they spend the least amount of time on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and TikTok. So if you're spending a lot of time creating marketing for TikTok, you're probably wasting your time, and you need to pick something that resonates a little more with your audience. And I can tell you, just as a quick tip, across the board, YouTube is used by pretty much every income level. Those are just a couple of the things. Obviously, Jade, you can kind of tell many factors go into this, and it's hard for me to know exactly what's happening without reviewing your site, your social, your ads, all of those things. And so that's where I would recommend that you start. Review everything that you're doing to make sure that it conveys this higher end service experience. It's really showing value. And that is all for today's show. I trust this was helpful and enlightening, and I will see you back here next week. Thanks for listening to today's show. For all things podcast, including transcripts, extra resources, and a place to submit questions for the show, visit higherpurposemarketingstrategy.com. I'd also love for you to do me 2 quick favors. 1, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and 2, share this episode with your colleagues. And that's a wrap. Meet you back here next week.